Today, I'm baking something a little extra special, a croissant-inspired sourdough loaf filled with chocolate chips, buttery, flaky, and soft inside, with that golden crust we all love. And yes, we're using the two-pan method to get that perfect oven spring. For the dough, we are going to add 150 grams of our active sourdough starter, 325 grams of water, 500 grams of flour, and 10 grams of salt. You're going to mix everything together until everything is well incorporated, until you see no more pockets of flour, and you're going to let this dough rest for 30 minutes before we start on our first set of stretch and folds. On this first set of stretch and folds, I am not adding any inclusions. I'm strengthening the dough by doing some stretch and folds and a few slap and folds. I like to do this before adding any inclusions, that way our dough is a little bit strong and it's not too shaggy. And we are going to let this dough rest for another 30 minutes, and then we're going to do our second set. Look at how beautiful and soft and smooth this dough looks already. 30 minutes later, and we're on to our second set. I am adding milk chocolate chips because these are the ones that we like, and I'm adding 1 stick of cold unsalted butter. I sprinkle a few chocolate chips and a little bit of that butter, and then I stretch the dough from one side, folding it over, covering the inclusions, and then I repeat this process about 4 times, going around the bowl. And then I kind of like to make this into a ball. That way all of the inclusions stay on the inside. I feel like this is the best way to make sure that your inclusions are distributed evenly throughout your dough. I did not measure how many chocolate chips I added, but just measure with your heart. If you want to add more or less, it's up to you. So then after the second set of stretch and folds, we wait another 30 minutes and we do our third set. This is the third set, and here I am just adding a tad bit more inclusions just because I had some butter left over. So I just added a few of those chocolate chips and a little bit of that butter, and then I continued stretching the dough, folding it over, making sure that I am getting this dough nice and strong. This is the fourth set, and I am doing some coil folds, gently folding the dough over itself, just trying to strengthen the dough once again. I am not adding any inclusions in this set. And after this, we're just gonna let the dough bulk ferment on the counter for a few hours until it is nice and jiggly and it is pulling away from the bowl nicely. Here I'm showing you guys a little trick. I put some plastic wrap on my banneton and then I put the liner over it. When I do have dough that might have some sugar or anything that can stain my banneton, and then I put the liner right over it, and this helps protect my banneton from getting destroyed. And then tomorrow you will see it'll be nice and clean, and all I have to do is wash the liner. So now I am going to put this dough on my mat. I actually was debating if I should add more chocolate chips in the middle, and I did laminate this dough just a tad bit, which I usually don't do, but I wanted to just to add more of those chocolate chips. But my husband said, no, leave it, it looks fine. He didn't want me to overdo it, so I just said okay. So that's why you see me here kind of laminating the dough a little bit, and then I just start shaping it because I didn't end up adding anything to it. I decided to add a little bit of flour onto my mat because the dough did feel a little bit buttery and I didn't want to pop those bubbles by handling the dough too hard. And I feel like with the flour, it makes me hold the dough a little bit gentler because it has a little bit of friction, if that makes sense. So I added a little bit of flour here, and then it was so much easier to shape this dough. And I went ahead and put it into my banneton, and I cold proofed this dough overnight. And then in the morning, I was ready to bake. Here I'm attempting to stitch my dough just a tad bit, but the flour and the butter don't really mix, so I couldn't really stitch it very well, so I just started pinching. It worked a little bit, and then I just put the plastic wrap over it and put it in the refrigerator so it can go to sleep, just like I did. In the morning, you can see how much my dough has risen. It's nice and domed. I did that poke test, and you just poke the dough a little bit. It should have a slight indent and it should spring back slowly. That's when you know your dough is ready to be baked. If it springs back too fast, it is underproofed, and if it just stays there, then that means it's overproof. Here I'm just putting it into a parchment paper so I can put it into my pan. And this is the best way that I feel like I can put the dough and take it out without it sticking to my pan. Although this is a non-stick pan, this is what I like to do. And since this dough does have butter, I didn't want it to get everywhere on my pan, but it didn't. It actually stayed all inside the dough. And then this is my banneton. As I mentioned previously, I just take it off just to wash the liner, and then my banneton is clean from the bottom and there are no messes. So you guys should try this if you have any messy inclusions on your doughs. So now I am going to score the dough and put it into a preheated oven of 450 degrees. I am going to bake this dough for 30 minutes with the lid on, and then 10 minutes with the lid off. I did use another pan similar to this one. That way it could create some steam as it bakes to help the dough rise and not just burn. After the first 30 minutes, this is what the dough is looking like. I just take off that top pan and look how beautiful it looks. I like to rotate my pans, that way the dough can bake evenly. Usually the back part of my stove, or oven I should say, is hotter, so I like to turn it at this point. That way it can all bake evenly. And look at how easily this comes out with the parchment paper on there. I mean, you don't really need it, but if it's like a messy dough, then I would recommend doing this. Look at how beautiful and golden this loaf is. So delicious. It came out perfect. The double loaf pan method is perfect if you don't have a Dutch oven, and you'll get perfect loaves every time, so you do not need a Dutch oven. These are actually better for sandwiches. Now I'm going to show you guys the crumb. Look at how beautiful. It's so soft. You can see the little chunks of chocolate chip and the little pieces where the butter is at. It makes the loaf super soft and fluffy, and I hope you guys make this recipe and try the 2 loaf pan method. It is so easy and very convenient. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.